and send it out. And
the little girl, Cecilia Beaver, passed away. That was in treatment. Nancy's here. She's sitting over in the corner. So.
Good morning, Nancy. Good morning.
She waved. Well, due to the change of not being in person at the Goodwin Center, the music doesn't work today. So I'm sorry about that. I should have invited Norma to come here and play our piano because I've got it set up here, so that works. But if you want to rush right over, Norma, you can. So we'll continue to hold Cecilia's family in the light. That's got to be difficult to lose a child like that. And let's hold yearly meeting sessions in God's light and love. I don't know that there's anything controversial or anything coming up, just a chance to be together in fellowship. And the only thing I'm nervous about for Friday night, I've been nervous about the lecture, but I got a call last week from Phil Gawley, and he's the one who's introducing me. So that makes me nervous. He wanted me to send him my biography, and I said, after 40 years, if you don't know enough to say about me, then we're both in trouble. And he goes, well, I know plenty I could say. Well, yeah, so I'm a little nervous now. So, but we're happy to have Jonathan as our worship leader this morning. So I'd ask you to put yourselves on mute, just to keep any feedback like we had earlier down. And then Jonathan, just begin as you feel led.
Art thou in the darkness? Mind it not, for if thou dost, it will feed thee more. But stand still and act not, and wait in patience till light arises out of darkness and leads thee. This well-known quote from James Nayler is among my favorites from the Quaker tradition. As most of you are likely aware, Mr. Nayler lived quite an interesting life and knew how to celebrate Palm Sunday like none other. If you're not familiar with him, he's worth a Google. For my purposes today, I want to both highlight what I find inspiring about the quote and, by extension, the Quaker principles that it articulates, while also examining ways in which we might expand on the understanding of light and darkness as presented here. Even a cursory glance at Quaker publications, websites, or other resources will almost certainly introduce one to the doctrine of the inward light. In brief, this doctrine maintains that there is within each person, to partially quote Robert Barclay, a measure of that life and spirit that was in Christ Jesus. This light is not the human conscience nor human reason, but is rather a divine spark, seed, or guide that, when listened to, will inform and teach us inwardly. This teaching and guidance is available to us as individuals, but its leading also extends to the corporate life of the community. Meeting for worship is an opportunity to wait upon the Lord, to receive guidance from the living mind of God, which is the Christ Spirit. This is pretty standard Quaker fare and lies at the heart of Nayler's encouragement that we stand still and act not, and wait in patience. The idea of God's light arising out of our most challenging experiences is a beautiful one, and has no doubt been experienced by each of us at one point or another in our lives. But what about the darkness? Let me first be clear about what I do not intend when I use the term darkness here. I'm not referring to a personified devil or demons, so that's not the terminology I'm working with. Having established that, I find myself in some disagreement with Mr. Nayler when it comes to his advice that we mind it, the darkness, not. In my experience, some of the most impacting and life-changing experiences of my life have been taught to me by the darkness. I believe that at times we're very much led by the darkness, and that this isn't inherently the operation of evil in our lives. Sometimes the darkness is just that, dark. Is night evil or wrong because we can't see the light of the sun? I would say no. As the absence of lowercase l light, lowercase d darkness, is what enables us to appreciate the light when it returns. And it is the existence of the darkness that is the co-author of our conception of light. Because without the darkness, there would be nothing with which we could contrast the light. Switching gears back to capital L light and capital D darkness, spiritually speaking, a human experience that was all light all the time would be a human experience of very little real light at all. How could we appreciate the light arising out of the darkness, if not for that very darkness? And is darkness then not its own teacher? I say that it is. And in order for darkness to teach us, it is necessary that we mind it. In this sense of the word mind, I intend to convey that we should regard it as important, pay attention to its significance, and note that in whatever form it may be manifesting, darkness is present in our lives for a reason. While I would agree that
What happened to it?
reasonable
We lost
mind
you for, you might want to back up a little. We lost you for a minute.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Okay. What had I said last?
We were so startled. I don't know. It was a section about that we need to heed the dark. A little bit past then.
Okay. In order for darkness to teach us, it is necessary that we mind it. In this sense of the word mind, I intend to convey that we should regard it as important, pay attention to its significance, and note that in whatever form it may be manifesting, in our lives for a reason. While I would agree that Mr. Nayler is right to possibly overburden us, I would also maintain that the minding in question is a matter of degree. Rather than minding the darkness not at all, I would suggest that we benefit from minding the darkness in reasonable proportion. To mind the reality that darkness is present and active in our lives is not inherently to despair or to reject the universal guiding power of the light, but rather it is to allow the darkness its place. After all, darkness will make its place whether we allow for it or not. As such, we each will experience the darkness in any number of ways throughout our lives. Drawing from my work as a licensed clinical social worker, that darkness may come in the form of mental illness, addiction, broken relationships, or the deaths of those we love. These kinds of experiences can be extraordinarily difficult to navigate, to cope with, and to understand in terms of why they are even occurring in our lives in the first place. Understandably, we turn to our loved ones, friends, and faith to make it through such challenges. But on the other side of these challenges, after the light has arisen in the darkness to lead us, we emerge changed. That change may come in the form of learning more about ourselves, our strengths and weaknesses, or those of our loved ones. The change may come in the form of a body that is no longer as strong as it once was due to illness or accident. The change may seem to be of benefit and help to us, or it may leave us feeling diminished and wounded. But ultimately, the most difficult of our life experiences do teach and shape us for good or ill. And I believe that that is in keeping with divine providence, the divine drama in which we are all actors. I would submit that the darkness is an essential component, an essential character in the unfolding of the story of human redemption, of salvation. Because at the end of the day,
Jonathan, we lost you.
from the darkness within ourselves require leading, if to be made close to that way sound a note of hope.
Jonathan, we lost you at the end of the day was your last phrase.
Okay. We were having some real struggles with our connection today. Let's see. Let me find my place again. At the end of the day, I find that it is from the darkness within ourselves, others, and the world, out of which we require leading if we are to be made something close to whole. To that end, Friend's ways sound a note of hope for us in our experience of the dance of light and darkness. After all, no such discussion of the above in a Quaker context would be complete without the following quote from George Fox. I saw also that there was an ocean of darkness and death, but an infinite ocean of light and love, which flowed over the ocean of darkness. In that also I saw the infinite love of God, and I had great openings.
Well, we'll now continue with more unprogrammed worship and say goodbye to our friends who need to leave. Hope you have a good week and hope to see you next week.
Thank you, Jonathan.
If hearts are clear, I think we'll close meeting for worship. Thank you, Jonathan. That was very thoughtful.
Good job. Thank you.
Yeah,
It really was.
we sometimes don't talk enough about the dark. So
Mm.
I really appreciated it.
That was a good explanation.
Thank you.
See you
Okay.
in a-
Take care. Have a good week.
You too. Take care.
Bye.